Before you play Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, there's a question you should ask yourself. Is this pirate's life for me? We'll lay out the details of the rowdy beat-em-up that bears the name of the third film, but it's up to you to decide whether or not you feel like taking the plunge. Rather than thinking of the game as playing the movie, it's better to think of it as an action supplement to the film. Tiny chunks of plot really serve to anchor the action, but the cutscenes don't really mesh into a story that you can follow or enjoy. Oh no! But odds are, you've seen the movies and already have your sea bearings, in which case, you're here to enjoy some swashbuckling, knife-throwing, cannon-firing pirate brawling. And if so, you're in luck, because here, there be brawling. And little else. The game version of At World's End is laid out like a scenic tour of movie locations, with hundreds upon hundreds of pirates, British guys with powdered wigs, and deformed fish people who need killing. The game covers events and locations from the second movie, Dead Man's Chest, along with material from the latest, At World's End. On your journey towards the conclusion, you'll play as multiple characters from the film, solve a couple of puzzles, and fight a number of duels. It's a straightforward version of a pirate's life that's heavy on the fighting. Quite heavy, in fact.
All you need is a guide, which you now possess.
From the moment you start the game, you'll find yourself knee-deep in cutthroat combat, taking the occasional break to pull levers or shimmy along ledges. Most of the time, you'll be crossing swords, which is good because the fist fights in the game aren't very enjoyable. Not that your fists don't come in handy. Mixing up your parries and thrusts with a good stiff punch or a sturdy toss is the key to successful swashbuckling. You'll want to keep your eye on your enemies at all times. Red circles will appear under targets signaling a powerful attack will be coming your way. You'll want to counter these moves by flicking the stick and hitting an action button. You'll receive the most damage taking cheap hits from off-screen enemies. Once you've actually engaged an enemy, any combination of swordsmanship and fistmanship will bring them down without a problem. Just watch out for the guys with guns. You'll also have knives, grenades, and your own trusty 3-shot pistol, which more than evens the odds. As Jack, you can perform a Jackanism, whatever that is, using the power of voodoo heads to vanquish foes in a puff of green smoke, and reap their souls with a slash of your glowing sword. Yeah, that's not in the movie.
And they keep trying to stretch the boundaries and limits of what's even possible to do.
Oftentimes, multiple main characters will be involved in a scuffle, and you're in charge of everyone. It's nice to have friends fighting alongside you, and you can switch to your favorite character from the movie, if you have one, but it's disappointing that every character shares the same exact swashbuckling style. Everyone does have their own unique finishing moves, but the only real incentive to switch between characters during a fight is to keep the computer from getting itself killed. The problem is that not getting killed isn't much of a reward. You really have to enjoy the fighting on a very basic level to enjoy the game the whole way through. Fortunately, the game does have competent non-fighting moments where you'll solve a simple puzzle or do a bit of running and jumping to get to the next area. And some of the environments are gorgeous enough that you won't mind doing a bit of exploring. However, it's not always clear what you're supposed to do to make progress. When you need to hit a switch, talk to an important person, or climb a ship's rigging, you'll need to stand in exactly the right spot at exactly the right angle before you can be told you can do it, which can result in your standing around like an idiot, hardly behavior that's becoming of a pirate.
Agreed.
And I don't agree.
There is one more aspect to the game, although it's still technically fighting. From time to time, you'll be pitted against other major characters in one-on-one duels that can be quite fun, when you're winning. They're a little awkward to control and a little too slow to be exciting, but there are a lot of amusing flourishes, and you'll probably appreciate any kind of break from the endless thrashing of generic enemies. If you have an eye for loot, you can spend your time collecting hidden objects like wanted posters and bottles of rum to unlock bonus content. But it's pretty joyless stuff. Soaking up nice-looking scenery and battling waves of baddies actually isn't too bad if you're looking for a simple game experience. But while At World's End succeeds at being a halfway decent game, it completely fails at conveying the excitement and spectacle of the movie. The game actually seems to go out of its way to avoid the film's highlights, and ends up presenting a much duller version of the story, despite all the on-screen action. There's a ton of wasted potential here, but by the standards of your average movie game, the third Pirates game doesn't fare too badly. Make no mistake, there's definitely better booty to be had when it comes to straight-up action gaming, but if you've got your heart set on playing with Keira Knightley and Johnny Depp, this is probably the best you'll ever do.
Well, it looks steady to me.
What?